Hey, friends, welcome back to Notes from the Edge. I am your host, Lacy, and this is the place we talk about the things we should have been talking about all along, the places we have the conversations we aren't having. And today, my special guest is Danielle Bernock. And I loved this about Danielle. You'll know her online as the lady on the internet who loves you. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. She's an international award winning independent author, speaker, trauma informed, faith aware self love coach, relationship repair specialist. We needed you the other day, Danielle, when my husband and I were arguing over biscuits and gravy. And we did eat the biscuits and gravy as we were still pissed at each other. And she's also the founder of 4F Media. She is the creator of the Self, that is SELF, process for life transformation, a framework designed to help people move beyond survival, repair their relationship with themselves, because that's a number one in here, and build lives rooted in freedom, value, and love. As a survivor of childhood trauma and emotional neglect, she combines lived experience, we respect that a ton in here, with professional insight to help others understand the invisible wounds, guys. Sometimes you can't see these things, but they're going to shape your identity, relationships, mental health, and even your faith. She published her first memoir, I love this, Emerging with Wings, a true story of lies, pain, and the love that heals, in her 50s. Danielle, I just turned 50 after a near-death experience due to my blood disease and wrote a memoir. And that decision launched her entire life into what you see now, which is author, coach, speaker, workshop facilitator, and advocate for people to know their worth. Danielle, welcome to Notes from the Edge. How are you today, my friend?
I am wonderful and I'm delighted to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. Well, we're just going to jump right in. I want to know what happened at 50 to put you on this trajectory that you're on now, helping so many people in the way that you do.
What happened in my 50s was I published that book, but what led up to it was a lot of inner healing. My
Yeah.
inner healing journey took a very, very long time, was extremely messy, because when I began my healing journey, we didn't have available to us what we have available to us now.
Mhm.
Mental health is a term people are very familiar with. Emotional intelligence, it is a term many people are familiar with. Those weren't a thing when I first
Yeah.
got married. I've been married for 46 years now. 46 years ago, those
Congratulations.
things, thank you, those things weren't a thing. Trauma wasn't even something people talked about. That
Oh no, it
was,
was all hush,
that,
hush, hush, hush,
yeah.
hush. If
And
mental
it,
illness even existed at all.
yeah,
Yes.
and it was shamed. It was
Yeah.
completely shamed then. Even when Ben came back from the war, the Vietnam War. I mean, they came home to being shamed. And then those who had PTSD were put in insane asylums and they blamed them for being shell shocked. There was so much shame around it that if anyone thought they had, they probably hid it because they didn't want to be shamed. And shame is a natural side effect of trauma on top of it. So that's something that really needs to be addressed to be healed out of a person, because it is not shameful to become traumatized. It's not your fault. It's involuntary. Involuntary. And that shame does not belong there. It shows up, but it doesn't belong there, because shame is never good. And living a shame filled existence is not a healthy or good way to live.
No, there's no freedom in it. And
No.
Danielle, we talk a lot in here about we're all traumatized in some way, shape, or form. It's part of the human experience to
Mhm.
varying degrees for obvious reasons once we take the time to hear each other's stories. But I want to circle back to something very important that you just said. I believe it was that shame is a side effect of
Yes.
the traumatic experiences. Speak
Yes.
into that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Shame is insidious. I despise it,
Mm,
because there's a difference between shame and guilt. When someone's guilty of something, they have a behavior that they did that they ought not to have done, but they did it. So they're guilty of it. So it's about the behavior, it's about something that was done. Where shame attacks a person's sense of identity. It
Mm,
shames the person. You are bad because you did that. So when shame comes in as a side effect of trauma, it blames the trauma survivor that it's
mhm.
their fault. And that's a normal human response as well, especially with children,
Yes.
because children cannot blame their parents because they need that attachment. And so they elevate their need for attachment with their parents and for survival
Mhm.
above their need for being loved and valued and honored and accepted. Dr. Gabor Mate has brought words to this. He is quite the expert out there, and I love so much of what he says. But he said, yeah, a child automatically blames himself because they cannot blame their caregiver because they need them.
They rely on them. So it becomes, it's all my fault. It must
Yes.
be my fault. Yes.
Mhm.
And then we carry that into adulthood, into our relationships, therefore into our identity. This is who I am.
And see,
And
that's it's a lie. We
yeah,
carry it, but it's a lie that we carry. And
yeah,
those lies are insidious because we operate on that premise, but it's not true. And so
yeah.
we walk in self harming ways that we are completely oblivious to because
Hmm.
we believe the lie. So we think it's true. We don't know it's a lie. We don't go, oh, I'm going to go and believe a lie. That's not how we live. It's just not a
Yeah.
thing. When we discover it's a lie, we go, oh. And then sometimes we can change it immediately. Sometimes it takes a long process because it's deeply rooted in our bodies, in our minds, in our physiology, in our emotions. And it takes time to unlearn and to heal of that, depending on how it has attached to who you are.
Yeah, how it has attached to who you are. I love that. I love that. I immediately got a visual of that. And my friends, I wish I could say some of this was fast, some of it is slow, as Danielle's pointing out. When I first started reframing thoughts, you're right. I didn't know that I was calling myself stupid in my head and that I'm such an F up and that I'm never going to have healthy relationships. And observation is not neutral. Quantum physics, quantum mechanics teaches us that the minute we observe it, it already starts to change. But I'd be stuck in the kitchen staring at a wall on a cycle, telling myself how stupid I was and catch myself and go, how long have I been standing here telling myself I'm stupid? And so I had to start reframing with one thought at a time. And I started with statements of fact because my brain likes those. What is the statement of fact? The statement of fact is I'm actually a highly intelligent woman. And now, of course, that I have a new default, those thoughts never, ever cross my mind. And once I started reframing, the evidence of having healthy relationships started to show up in my life. So I had external factors showing me evidence of it in addition to what I was saying. But
Mhm.
you're right, we can be on autopilot and
Oh,
not
definitely.
know that
Definitely.
our operating system needs a pretty healthy upgrade.
Oh, I love a
Um,
couple things you said there. The quantum physics thing, the observer effect. I bring that up in my new book I'm releasing this
ah,
year. I've never heard anyone
I'm
else
such a
talk
brain
about it.
science geek. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
I
Quantum
never heard
physics, quantum
bring that up
mechanics.
in
Yeah.
the context of psychology before. But I love that. And then the other thing about the autopilot way of thinking, that yes, that we have mindsets that we something will happen to us, and that's what's called a trigger. And then we find ourselves somewhere else. And in
Yeah.
between that trigger and where we find ourselves, there's a whole space of things happening that have been practiced or learned or something that we need to slow that space down and observe what's between that space so that we can bring about change in that space. Like you're saying, those things that you start declaring, the facts that you start saying, the truth you start speaking, but you have to
Mhm.
practice it just like you have to practice multiplication tables.
Yes. Yes. And
And the
it's one.
operating system, that was the other thing. That's how I in my workshops I talk about that your brain is the hardware,
Yep.
but your mind is the operating system.
Yep. Sounds like
So
you're in the right place. It sounds like you're
we
in the
need an
right
upgrade.
place. We need an upgrade across the board to find that freedom and liberation. And there's something so special about getting to a place where you just really dig who you are as a human because I spent 20 years in self-hatred, drowning myself in a bottle, addiction and alcoholism. And now I just think I'm a really cool chick. I love who I am. I love my alone time. I love my own company. Like, something magical happens when you can be like, I'm a really cool person. If they can't see it, that's their loss, and really mean that. And really mean that. But this, of course,
is profound
it
to go from
is profound.
self-hatred to like that, to like yourself. I have
Yes.
made that same journey. I lived in an existence trying to kill myself slowly because I thought I deserved it. I didn't think I had the right to draw breath. And writing this up on LinkedIn, you talked about having permission or something like that to take up space. The terminology I used was I didn't think I had the right to draw breath. I had existential problems and crisis because I had what's called spiritual trauma. And your questions you brought up that you sent me ahead of time about church hurt. And I wanted to speak to that because people use that as an umbrella for more than it is. Because
explain, elaborate.
Yes.
Elaborate.
Yes.
Go down it, girl. Get it.
No, I'm going there because this is important. This is important because church hurt is not what so many people say. There are three kinds of trauma that people put under church hurt. There's spiritual trauma, there's religious trauma, and there is church hurt. Those are three different things, three very separate things. They are not one thing, they are three. And I get really enforceful
You're
about
excited.
that.
I love it. Well,
because I suffered from all three of them.
I wasn't familiar with church hurt. So start with church hurt and then kind of work backwards from there. So
okay. Yeah, people dismiss church hurt too, because there are people who someone says something they didn't like and they get offended and they're just being a human offended. That's not church hurt. That's right. Someone being a jerk.
Right. And they're everywhere.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah.
Church hurt is when a person is injured in their sense of community, where they have a lack of safety in connection. And they don't feel they can operate safely in the confines of community. And so operating in a church community becomes dangerous to them, and they don't know how to do that. It affects their sense of community.
Which, as humans, we all need that human connection. Yes.
Yes, we do. That's a central theme of my new book coming out this year.
Oh my God, we're hitting them all. We're hitting them all the points. We're hitting all the points. I'm so excited. When's the book release?
It's slated for September 2nd.
Oh, that's right around the corner. Around the corner. Mine's we go into pre-sale October 1, and then we're launching November 1. So
awesome.
Okay, you had mentioned spiritual abuse was the word you used.
Trauma.
Trauma. Okay. The first
abuse and trauma are two different things. So it's spiritual trauma. Abuse is something that happens. Trauma is a wound that's left behind in someone on the inside. Trauma, people misunderstand trauma all the time too. Trauma is not what happened to you. Trauma is not what happened around you. Trauma is what happened inside you.
Which is why we can both experience the same thing, and it can leave an imprint on you, and I can gloss right over it.
Yep. That's why trauma is personal. Trauma is personal. And we need to embrace that. That was the beginning of my healing, was to understand trauma is personal and to stop comparing it with something else.
Yes.
Even the same thing with someone else is not a right comparison. But I was comparing my things with like the Holocaust and hurricanes. And I mean, like global things, which that's just not fair. It's just not
to do to
fair.
Yourself. To do to yourself. The first time I had ever heard anything about spiritual abuse or spiritual trauma was in inpatient rehabilitation. It was a new term to me. It was new language for me. So talk about spiritual trauma. Yeah,
it's important to bring them up because there are three of them. Church hurt needs to get its rightful place, that it's not someone being a jerk. It's someone who has injured your sense of community, and you truly have problem interacting with people and feeling safe and operating like that. I have an article on my website. I go into it more in all three of these.
I love
But
that. Let's include it. We'll include it on this episode.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, I would love that.
And then the next one is religious trauma. And that is when it affects you emotionally and mentally. It affects your mental health and your emotional health and your ability to operate as a healthy human being,
Okay.
because it happens within the practices of religion, in the places of religious practices, through oppressiveness or authoritarian, excessive authoritarian and control and coercion and things like that, where they misuse terminology, and people can develop symptoms that mimic PTSD from religious
Mhm.
trauma. So
Yes.
that's completely different than church. Whereas
Yes.
then spiritual trauma is when it affects your spiritual life. You it attacks your core beliefs and leaves you feeling abandoned and alone, and gives you
Mhm.
existential issues that you don't feel like you have the right to draw a breath or take up space.
Yeah. Yeah. That's big stuff. That's
I had
big
all
stuff.
three of them. I had all three of them.
That's completely disconnected
Yes.
from anything
Hmm.
outside of you as a human being
Yeah.
to grab onto,
Hmm.
to connect to. So what was the beginning? What was the beginning of your transformation? When did you start seeing some of this?
Seeing it, I don't know. The beginning of my transformation happened during my road trip out to California that I wrote about in my first book, Emerging with Wings. I was 19 years old and I had this drive, compelling, I don't know, obsession with I had to go to California. I don't know, like it was the end of the rainbow or something. I don't know what it was. I tried to go multiple times. The people would fall through. One of the persons, they got taken to the hospital in an ambulance. I mean, I was going to go by myself then, and that was in 1978. And we didn't have cell phones. And I was, a single female. And I'm going to just go drive to the other side of the country from Michigan to California. But God protected me. Oh, he protected me so much. I should be dead so many times. But brought someone into my life. We drove to California and back. She brought her Bible with her. So I brought mine because I was steeped in trauma and people pleasing. So she brought hers. I'll bring mine. Okay. I was mad at God and not talking to him at the time. So, but I brought my Bible. So here we are drinking and smoking dope and taking drugs and reading the Bible while we're driving across country. Talk about stupid.
I love it. That sounds like some 19-year-old stuff right there.
Oh, the mercy and grace of God. I should have been dead so many times. Oh, that story in my book, it will make you laugh like that, because I kept a journal and I put things in there that I'm like, if I didn't add that journal, I wouldn't have remembered, because I
Yeah,
was I was checked out most of the time.
when I went traveling over to Europe, I got back home with some pictures. I was like, I don't remember that building. I don't remember that building. What is that called? The Louvre, Lisa. It's called the Louvre. It's a pretty big place. You should remember it. Yeah, I'm exaggerating just slightly. I did remember the Louvre in the pictures, but some of them I was like, where was I? I don't remember. So I get it. I get it. So, all right, Danielle, childhood emotional neglect can be difficult to recognize. And what I love in here and in spaces that I've had the privilege to be part of is having language for things. I think so
Mhm.
often when I was in high functioning survival, I simply didn't have the language for what was happening to me, for what I was
Mhm.
experiencing. So it is often about what did not happen rather than what did. How does a child adapt when their emotional needs? This is so important because, like you, so many people are out there going, I feel like this has affected me, but I don't have the right to be bothered by something as simple as emotional neglect. So, how can those adaptations follow us into adulthood?
So many things about that I want to speak to. One is, you said it often, is not, it's often something that you can't see or something you said. So often thing that didn't happen. It's always something that didn't happen. It's always something that did not happen that needed to happen, hence the word neglect. It was something that should have happened, but it neglected to happen. And then about finding words for things. I didn't have words for things. I didn't have words for anything. I didn't know there were words for anything. I didn't know that emotions were a thing. I was able to have emotions. They just ran my life and I had no idea what was going on. I called myself an emotional basket case because, you never know what emotion's going to pop up and take over. Like I was possessed by emotions or something because I had no idea what to do with them. I'm highly sensitive and raised by authoritarian parents who meant well, but I was emotionally neglected. I was shut down, and they just go underground. You just shove them down and you disallow them. You disallow them. They don't have a place, but then they intrude into your life because they're part of you and they can't just go away. They just erupt like little volcanoes all the time.
They're going to come up.
They're going to come up. And they're going to show up either through outbursts or through sickness or through something, but they will show up. Trauma will not go unrecognized. It will show up in some capacity. You can deny it all you want your whole life and it will show up, but you might not even recognize it when it shows up.
Yeah.
So how the adaptation follows you into adulthood is however you did as a kid, you just bring it with you. I shoved my emotions. I shoved them down. If I didn't feel like it was acceptable to behave in that manner, well, then I just bite my tongue, shut up, don't say anything, just suck it up and just straighten up and fly right and all those things that you're told.
Suck it up, toughen up, man up. That's what I got told. I got told to man up. So I tried that. I went
Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Just all the things. And but we've learned, see, that emotional intelligence, we've learned how wrong those things were. Many parents did not mean anything harmful by that. What they meant by that was to create resilience. In some children, it did. In some children, it didn't. In Dr. Denise Webb's book, Running on Empty, she addresses childhood emotional neglect in a beautiful way, and I talk about her book all the time. It's how I learned the verbiage for childhood emotional neglect. I healed of it before I had language for it. And I like to say that because I love having words for things. It's helpful. It is very helpful. But we don't have to have words for things to heal. We can just want to heal, that we go running toward healing, grabbing for whatever is going to be useful, and we can get it. I healed of it before I learned the term. The words that my counselor used when I was answering a question and she interrupted me and asked me another question, asked me why. I'm like, I don't know. And she said, something went terribly wrong. That was the terminology. Those were the words that opened my eyes to what I learned later was childhood emotional neglect. Because after that, she elaborated to me what a healthy upbringing in that situation would have looked like. And my mouth dropped open because I did not know that was even a thing. I didn't have something's wrong and I don't know what it is. I just knew I felt miserable and it was all my fault. So beat myself up because I'm miserable. But then you're too hard on yourself. So beat yourself up for that. It was just beating yourself up.
I do stay miserable. Yeah. Just beat yourself up more, stay miserable, stay on the loop. Stay on the loop of self-abuse. Yeah. Stay on the loop of self-abuse. Yeah.
But then I learned later that childhood emotional neglect is, when a child's emotional needs are not met enough. She uses the term enough because no parent is going to do it perfect. Right. But if the emotional needs are met enough, then a child will learn how to function emotionally. And in her book, she goes through 12 different ways a child could be emotionally neglected. She illustrates different types of parenting. And one of them, and the largest category, she says, is well-meaning parents that were emotionally neglected themselves. They didn't have to give what you needed.
Yeah.
And if they don't have it, they can't give it to you. But just because that it happens like that doesn't mean you go, oh, it's my fault. No, you were
Yeah.
still emotionally neglected. Your parents still did that. You don't need to throw them under the bus and run them over and vilify them. You can just go, this happened. This is the result. How do I heal from this? And maybe when the parents are involved in that journey, they can heal too. That
Yeah.
happened with my mother and I. I didn't know the term childhood emotional neglect. I hadn't even seen my counselor yet. But my mom and I, we had a very strained relationship. We weren't estranged from one another, but it was very strained because she was emotionally neglected. She had been through trauma. She had trauma she didn't know about. I had trauma I didn't know about. So we just crashed into each other like all the time.
Yep.
Until one day she asked me to lunch and asked me if I wanted to be friends. And I said yes. And so we began the journey of repairing our relationship before we had words for it, before there
That's
was any
beautiful.
language for it. We didn't know psychology. We weren't trauma informed. We didn't know anything. We had one thing, one thing. And I'd say, this is one thing. If you have this one thing on both sides of a relationship, it can be repaired. It only takes this one thing. If you have the other things, it's helpful and you can do it quicker and stuff like that. But the one thing is the common goal of connection. If you
Hmm.
both have the common goal of connection, you can get there.
Then you'll
My
find a
mother,
way.
yeah,
Yeah.
we found a way. We didn't know about active listening, but when I look back to what we did, that's what we did. We used
Yeah.
active listening because we had that common goal. I told her the things I was upset with her about. You know, when my dad died, when my brother died, when my grandmother died, how she handled those things. And then she shared with what she was upset with me about when her husband died, when her mother died, when her son died. And right there, I paused to illustrate for people, 3 people died there, 6 different relationships.
Mm.
When my dad died, my mom lost her husband. Those are not the same.
Yeah.
But when you're a child, you just know your dad died, it's one person, and she lost the same person, you lost the same person, but the relationship is different. And we
Yeah.
need to wrap our head around that. That happens whenever anyone loses anyone. If you have a friend and they have friends, you both lost a friend, your relationship with that friend was different. It's
Yeah.
not going to be the same. Trauma is personal, but so is grief. Grief is deeply personal.
Hmm.
So we need to recognize that, and we can heal relationships that are broken or strained or estranged if we have a common goal of connection. And if you get help from someone, I do one-on-two coaching as well. I've helped my clients repair their relationship with their children before because they come to coaching. Because when you have help, it makes it easier. It won't take as long. But a lot of times trauma survivors, they don't want help because they have hurts that happened inside connection. So they pull back. But we need to dare to reach out for safe places, you know. And I went through 5 counselors before I got a good one. I almost gave up, but she called me back and I had a meltdown on the phone with her, and how she handled me on that is how she ended up becoming my counselor. So don't give up on yourself. If you're going for help,
Yes.
don't give up on yourself. If you have a bad counselor, find another one. Fire
It's a
that one and get another one.
relationship just like any other, and it
Yes.
can take time to find the right fit
Mhm.
for you. And it may take 4 or 5. And
Yes.
it may take 2 to 3 sessions per those 4 or 5 to
Mhm.
really get to know them, because it again is a relationship like
Mhm.
any other relationship. So, and what I love also about the work that you're doing is, for me in my journey, it was transformational coaches that got me over the hump. I had already done everything, CBT, DBT. If there's an acronym for therapy, I did it. If there's an acronym, I did it. This is like 200 grand worth, 20,000 hours in session. And I was still waking up going, oh, I'm not sure I'm liking this. I still wasn't feeling great. And it was transformational coaches that
Mhm.
actually got me over and down back off the mountain, over the hump, on the trail, walking straight, feeling great. And I think that's primarily because as transformational coaches, we're really interested in your forward momentum and
Exactly.
really, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
Not the now, looking backwards is so vital to know
Mm-hmm.
where you've been. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
a rite of passage. I think everybody needs to do it but man, if you get stuck in that other focus, blame game, victim mentality, rehashing the same old stories over and over and over, I just don't believe healing happens in that
Yeah,
place.
no, has to be forward focused.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the one counselor I got that helped me, she also went forward focused with me. We went deep behind, but she also going forward. But I validate that the transformational coaches, and that's what I do, is because coaching is forward focused. I've had many of my clients have come to me, they've already been through counseling, and they're like, I mean, it helped, but no, I need something else.
Yes,
You
I
need
still need more. Something.
need the
Something.
forward focus. How do I go forward now? And the
Yes.
illustration I like to use to draw a picture for people, the difference between counseling and coaching is, imagine yourself, you're a car, be whatever kind of car you like best, nice and shiny and bright. And you're in your garage. And so you need to go somewhere. You want to go somewhere in life because you're stuck in your garage. So you go to counseling, and that's backing out of the garage because you're focusing on what's behind you. You're using your rear view mirror, your side view mirror, your video on the dash, looking over your shoulder, whatever the case may be, but your focus is behind you because you're backing out of where you're stuck. But then now you're out in the street. You're not going to drive around in reverse. That's not good.
You're gonna hit
Then
the
you
house
need it.
behind you.
Then you need to hire a coach, which then you're going to be forward focused because you want to go forward down the street. You'll still use your side view mirrors and your rear view mirror because they affect where you're going. You need to know what's going on around you. You need to not revert, refer to something that had happened, but your focus is forward in front of you.
Yeah, to get unstuck, to get to those places of liberation and freedom. I love that analogy. Danielle, you write that trauma does not disappear. We're going to circle back to this because I think it's so important because I think there's a lot of people in denial today, maybe
Mhm.
listening to this. It does not disappear when it is ignored, when we ignore it, or when it is invalidated
Amen.
by others. So, what happens when our pain is minimized?
It goes sepsis.
Oh,
It goes sepsis. When I first started doing videos and when I did my book at the beginning, I was much more timid than I am now.
nothing about you seems timid, my friend.
No, been doing it for a while, and I've studied and experience, and no. And the first time I said this, I was like, oh, what are people going to say? I'm like, no, trauma kills people.
Yeah.
Trauma kills people. Trauma gives people diabetes. Trauma gives people cardiac
Thank you,
things.
my friend.
Trauma gives people
Yes.
cancer.
Yep.
Trauma gives people fibromyalgia.
Yep.
Trauma gives people all kinds of
Autoimmune
things.
disorders, all
Yes.
the things. Yes, it can
Yes.
absolutely eventually affect your physical health as
It's
well.
that's what it does because the body keeps the score. There's a book out there and it's true. Now, a new guy has a book says the body doesn't keep the score. I don't believe him. The body keeps the score. When I was a teenager, the term psychosomatic was understood to mean something other than the truth. When I was a teenager, psychosomatic meant you're making it up. It meant it's pretend. It meant it's all in your head and it's all your fault. Just get over it, suck it up, and stop acting like an idiot. But what psychosomatic actually means is your psyche, your brain, is somaticing, it's somatizing the pain. Your brain is somatizing the pain. Your brain is making your body sick. So it's not maybe all in your head because it's in your brain,
It
because
is in your head and also,
in your
right?
body.
It's in your body. Yes.
Yes.
And my evidential experience has been that it is also in the body. So
Yes.
yes, I
It's in the
agree.
brain, it's in the body, and it's in our soul as well.
Spirit,
It's in the
yes.
mind, it's in our mind, it's in our emotions. They scan the brain and they can see trauma in the brain. But we don't scan each other's brains. We don't scan our own brains. It's, not something we go and do. So how do we know we have trauma? It's through the side effects in our lives. that's what shows up in our lives. How we behave, how we think, how we treat ourselves, how we treat others. I have a free assessment at my website to help people identify how much is your childhood affecting you now. And in
I
this
love that.
assessment, there's 30 questions to help you. Is, you got 10 ways it's affecting you, 20 ways, all 30 ways. And
Mhm.
it affected me all 30 ways at the beginning. And now it doesn't affect me in any of those ways anymore. See,
I
healing
love
is
that.
possible. And I share that. I was such a mess and I am not anymore. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I am not who I was. There's a song out there like that too. I am not who I was.
Well, and what I love is that, guess what, my friends? It doesn't have to be a trudge trauma healing. You can belly laugh your way through it. As a matter of fact, if your trauma didn't give you a dark sense of humor, you might be doing something wrong. And it can happen pretty quickly, actually. It can
Mm,
happen pretty quickly when you get out of your head and into your heart, connect the two, lead from there, and work
mhm,
emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually at the same time. And again,
mhm,
jump over the biggest obstacle I was facing was working with a coach, in addition to my holistic psychiatrist, in addition to my therapist. So bringing transformational coaches onto your team, invest in yourself that way. But in order for people to invest in themselves that way, they have to feel like they're worthy, because
yeah,
we're
and
not
that's the
taught.
core. That
Yeah.
that's the core. That the core is feelings of worthlessness. And so people hesitate to invest in themselves because they don't see their value. And that's something I focus heavily on is people have value. It's why I became that lady on the internet who loves you, because love is our greatest need. And what love looks like is love sees our value inherently because we exist, because God created us, because you exist, you have value. And
Mhm.
then love acts in a person's best interest. It doesn't just let them do whatever they want, because that's not their best interest. And sometimes we want to do dumb things. So we in our best interest,
On
what is good?
occasion, maybe.
Are you human? And to accept our humanity, because it's been, especially in the church. I was talking with a friend yesterday. We were laughing about how, being human, because my new book coming out, I talk about being human and you're a most vital human, and how we are human, and how human is not bad, but human has been made to be this bad thing. And I said to her, I said, yeah, we couldn't be human, because being human would be this religious word. We were being carnal. So whenever we're being carnal, we're not being spiritual. So we're not flying around with our wings or something. I don't know, but we're human. We walk on two legs. We're in this world. We see, we think, we feel, we taste, we touch. That's part of our existence. And God gave us that. That wasn't a mistake. When I was
We
writing
are not
one of my
mistakes.
books a number of years ago, I had a lady have the audacity to tell me that emotions were not part of the original creation. That was part of the fall of man. I'm like, you are out of your mind, lady.
Isn't it interesting putting yourself out into the world?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's some things out there, yeah. But once
You gotta be
you
ready.
know your value, you can keep that outside of you. When you are living in trauma response, someone says something like that, you go, oh, and it goes inside you and it
Mhm.
affects you and it hurts you. And it's like hitting like a bruise. But if it hits you like that, you're like, uh-uh, you've healed that wound there. You're like, I know, I don't have to believe what you believe. Uh-uh.
Yeah, it's a no. It's just a hard no.
Just a hard no.
I think when we're clear on our self-worth, we can then focus on our
Yeah.
purpose and mission here, because we
Yes.
all have one. My friends, if it's gnawing on your heart, it was placed there by the divine. That is not
Amen.
accidental. That is probably your purpose, your mission. And when you know your self-worth and you go out and you pursue that, then the naysayers do not bother you anymore.
Mhm.
Or I can at least say they don't take you for months like they used to. You may have
Mhm.
an hour of, I'll tell you one, Danielle. I did TikTok lives for many, many years, a couple years in a row, and it's the Wild West on TikTok. It's like anything goes. And guys would say just the nastiest stuff. It would just roll off and roll off and roll off. And one day this guy goes, Lisa, your hair would look better longer. I was like, okay. And my mods just blocked and muted because that was the direction. Block, mute, let me keep doing my work. Well, about 4 days go by and I'm brushing my hair and I'm thinking about what that dude was saying about my hair after everything, right? All these other people can say everything, but dude tells me my hair would look better longer. And I'm like, well, that isn't that right. And I had to stop and I had to go, whoa, why is this sticky? I call it sticky. Why is this still sticking? And of course, it was because my hair was never good enough for my mother, right? So
Ah,
it was whether it was black or blue or short or long or curly or straight. It was never good enough for my mother. So it wasn't about that guy's comment. It was about being 10 years old. But yeah, brushing my hair 4 days later, telling this guy off because he said my hair would look better longer. It's crazy what'll stick to us. It's crazy.
Yeah, it reminds me of that old Dr. Seuss book. Go back and comment back. Are you my mother?
Yeah. I don't know. She asked me the other day, she goes, so what's in this new book? Is it that your brain broke? Or no, she goes, is it just that your brain broke? Which irritates me, but I just let her say it. Or is it why your brain broke? In other words, she's asking if she's in it. I'm like, yeah, I can't write a story about a full-blown psychosis without having you in it somewhere, lady. But anyway, yeah, write a memoir, and then family gets all like, what's your table of contents? What's going on in there? So, all right, let's get to your main focus for the world, and that is to love yourself first. Love yourself first.
Oh, to live in love. Live in love would be my main focus because love is more than just loving ourselves. I talk about living in the circle of love but we have to start with ourselves because that's the start space on the game board. Because everything filters through ourselves and we're the only one who can do anything about ourselves. So we have to start with loving ourselves and then that affects how we treat others. But as we said earlier, we need connection. We're wired for connection. We're created for connection. We need that. So we need to have connection with others. So we need to love others as well. And loving God who loved us first. And love lives in a circle. Love lives in a circle, just like think of breathing. When we breathe, we have to breathe in, we have to breathe out. It's a cycle, it's a circle. With love, we have to give love, we have to receive love. We have to give love, we have to receive love. We can't just receive it, we have to give it. And we can't just give it, we have to receive it. It has to live in the circle.
I love that. I love that. You said something earlier about love that was absolutely divine. Keep talking about love and it might come back. It was love is
our greatest need as human beings.
What did you say? I'm going to quote it because it was really good. It was really good. It was something about love feeding us, fueling us. Dang it. We got on a rabbit hole, but it was so good. It was so good. I'm going to find it and we're going to quote it. We're going to quote it. Okay.
Yeah, you said something earlier also. You talked about people's purpose and about gnawing. And I'm like, I want to stop and circle back to that because that goes, we're like glossing over the top of my new book that's coming out because the name of my new book coming out is called Hungry for More.
Oh, all right. Let's talk about your book. We're there. Let's talk about your book.
The subtitle is The Longing, the Counterfeits, and What We're Really Looking For. And it's about our need for connection or what I call withness, W-I-T-H, withness. And it's presence and participation and posture with one another, not just being in the same room, because that's not sharing connection. You can share space and not share connection. So it's about our need for connection, we are wired for connection. We are designed for connection. We ache for it. We hunger for it. And that hunger is there by design. It's not a problem we have. It's there by design. It's the homing signal inside of us to bring us to what we're designed for, that connection. So it goes through the ache of that hunger that we have it, that we need it, and why it's there. And then the design of how we were designed from the beginning for that hunger and for connection. And our choices are part of our original design. And then the reality we find ourselves in, because we fed that hunger garbage, like I did when I was 19 and 18 and all kinds of other things, and sometimes still do because I'm human. So what we feed that hunger instead of what it actually needs, because we don't understand it, we feed it something that doesn't satisfy it, something that takes us somewhere we don't want to go. Like you were talking about how your coping mechanism was drinking and stuff. Well, that
Mhm.
didn't bring you the outcome you wanted.
No, no, it did not.
That brought you a reality that you're like, I don't want to do this. How come I keep
That
doing
almost
this? Why
cost
am
me
I
my
behaving like
freedom.
this?
Yeah,
How do
yeah,
I
that
change this?
almost,
Then it
yes.
goes into the repair of how to change that and how do we nourish ourselves? How do we reconnect? And then it goes into the with life and the with experience of what does that look like? And it's got all these different stories of people and things they've been through in the past and the present, the future, the with life. And oh, I'm just so
Oh, the
excited for
with
this book.
life. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I will say this, when our relationships fill us up and we are
Yes.
connected and they are healthy, we can go out and we can conquer the world and pursue
Yes.
our mission. But man, when they are toxic, it's like it's all you can think about
Yeah.
is how terrible they are and how to fix it and how to get back to it. So
Mhm.
I think this book is going to be such a gift to so many people who are stuck
Yeah.
and lonely.
And
So many
starving.
people lonely and
And
starving and
starving. Yes.
hungry. Yeah.
I, when I was talking with a friend, this just kind of came out, and I'm like, oh, I need to put the word healthy on the beginning of this sentence because I was just saying connection. No, healthy connection is comfort food.
Yeah. And I loved your word too, satisfied.
Yes.
I try to avoid like happy and joyous because they're just such high vibrations, but words like contentment and
Hmm.
satisfaction and curiosity and willingness are
Yeah.
such juicy words for me because those are
Yes.
ones that we can hang on to all day,
Yeah.
you know, if we find the right spaces to
Hmm.
surround ourselves with.
Yeah. And be
So,
seen and be known and be loved as we are. Yes,
yes,
we need that. That's back to that quantum thing about
yes,
being seen. We need to be seen. We need the observer effect. We need
yes.
our lives to be witnessed by others.
We absolutely do. Witnessing is so important, and
Mhm.
sometimes my biggest witness is my 21-year-old dog, and that's okay. I had him since he was 3 months old. He's got my life more figured out than I do. Well, Danielle, where can people find you and your book? And we're gonna plaster it everywhere. I want your assessment too. I'm gonna be reaching out to you for a few additional links before we
Okay.
get this one launched.
Okay.
But where can people find you?
Everything is centrally located at my main website, daniellebernock.com. DanielleBernock.com. To my coaching, my speaking, I had a podcast for 3 years. You can still access that. I have my books, I have my blog, I have all my free resources and other resources. The assessment is right on the main page. I give away a free audio book there as well. I have a self-love assessment there as well. And my book, my new book, has a website as well. It's hungry-for-more.com.
Hungry for more. All right. We always close out asking our guests two questions.
Okay.
The first question is, in your own life, what did you perform in order to survive? And what happened for you when you dropped that role, mask, or performance? That's question one. Go for it.
The beginning, you made it two parts, so I forgot the first part when you got to the second
What
one.
did you perform
What did
in
I
order to
perform?
survive? What mask, role, or performance did you put on in order to make it through?
Um, being strong.
Oh, because we can perform strength.
Yeah. I
That's a
performed
good one.
strength and people pleasing. They were intertwined.
Yeah, I love those. I love those. And what do you wish we were having more conversations about?
Love and our value and valuing ourselves to become what we were designed to be. That we
Mhm.
are designed. We are designed. Look around the world. the Big Bang violates all the laws of physics. Even when I was mad at God and trying to prove he didn't exist, I could not believe in that. And I wasn't even into physics back then. Still not a lot, but a little bit. But still, I just, it takes more faith to believe something came out of nothing. And people who don't believe in God, but you believe in nothing, that you came out of nothing, and that's easier to believe than God. So we look at your hands and think about how complex the human body is. I had a hand fracture in February, and it was what do they call it? It didn't move. It didn't move. The bone didn't move, but it was fractured, non-displaced. It was a non-displaced fracture. My hand swelled up so bad. And this was in February. I am still in occupational therapy for my hand. And it was my pinky finger. And when I wake up in the morning, it's still this tingling in my hand. And people think, oh, it's just the bone. Well, there's tendons, there's ligaments, there's the muscles, there's the nerves, there's the blood vessels, and there's the bone. And there's all those parts to a little bitty crack. Did all that. We are very complex creations of an amazing God.
Yes, that's
and to
the
talk
word I was
about
going to use.
the magnificence of God creating us and how he made us and that he loves us and that we're amazing. Trauma wants to take all of our value away, and lots of other things want to take all of our value away. No, we are valued. We really get into the true things about God, which I'm starting to do. I started deconstructing my faith at that first book before that word was a word. I used the word digest because I was studying a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, and a caterpillar digests itself to turn into a butterfly. So I digested my childhood and I digested my faith, but now it's called deconstruction. And I continue to do that because there's more to learn. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. I tell people, I don't believe everything I say because next week I might change what I think about it. So hold things with an open hand. Hold things with an open hand until something is solid in you, and then you hold your story as your story. That's what I published my own book because it was my story. And if I gave it to a traditional publishing house, they would have the ability to change it. I'm like, no, I fought too hard for this to be my story. You're not changing it. It's mine. Yes. I earned these. I earned these scars.
These words. Yes, I'm with you wholeheartedly. All right, my friends, everybody be prepared for Danielle's new book. It sounds like she has been ahead of her time for a long time, I will say. And in the meantime, ask yourself the question, what did you perform in order to survive? Is it still serving you? And if it may not be, what amazing things can happen in your life if you finally drop the role masker performance? Amen. We'll see you at the edge.
Love you.
Love you too, sweetie.